Hello, Thomas and Gail here today. We're standing at the corner of South Division and Bryant Avenue. And today we're going to show you a lovely concentration of small trees that are quite unusual in this town. You've probably seen these trees many times before, but we're going to take a closer look today, and Gail will be your guide. So, let's go.
Okay, I'm standing here under a most unusual tree. This is a member of the cashew family, and the interesting thing is it's quite rare. There's only 2 species in this genus. This is Cotinus, and they're remarkable for their unusual fluorescence. It's called a smoke tree, and you can see why, because these little filaments that come off the flowers create clouds that look very much like smoke. So this is an extraordinary tree. This will hold on pretty much all summer long, and then they'll turn to a buff color and then finally fall off in the fall. And then when they do, this tree turns into a glorious fall color. We're looking at our second smoke tree on South Division, and this one is just an amazing puffball. And this is really extraordinary. And inside these lovely pinkish smoky blossoms are green leaves, if you could see them. The leaves inside are actually, they're actually green, unlike the red ones of the tree we just saw. So this is very typical of your smoke trees. They're either going to be red or they're going to be green-leaved. And then the color of the smoke is going to vary from being this very light puffball that you see here to the intense one down the street. The other thing that's interesting about this tree is that this is an old tree. And characteristically of these trees, they get very gnarly trunks with age. So this is a very mature tree. These trees never get more than about 30 feet high and as wide. We are up the street on Division. We're just short of Pleasant Street and across on the opposite side of the street. And this smoke tree, we wanted to come here because actually what you're looking at is not one, but 2 smoke trees planted closely together. And that's why you'll see both the red leaves and what is clearly the green leaves. And while you'll see some of the darker smoke-colored plumes, and while you'll see these much lighter plumes, it's because you've got 2 different smoke trees. Now, exactly what species these are, that's an unknown quantity to me. I don't know which they are because there's only 2 species. This tree is rare. It's only found in South Europe and Central China and the United States. So we're extremely lucky that we do have our own native smoke tree. But are one of these our native and one of these a European one? We don't know that. We just know that they're both Cotinus, which is a smoke tree, but I'm guessing that these are European. And the reason why I think that is because our native smoke tree doesn't have an extraordinary masses of plumes, of filaments coming off the flowers like this one. It has less smoke and more foliage, but what they share in common is magnificent fall color, which I mentioned before, yellows, oranges, and reds. Just amazing. So this is a fabulous tree from when it first leaves out until it develops its smoke plumes and then gives you the fall color. It really is a really wonderful tree. We're actually on Newell in front of the Russian Orthodox Church, and we decided to make a little detour from our original plan to just stay on Division because this is a very different looking smoke tree. It's a green leaf one, but what struck our fancy, our attention was how white or gray these blossoms were. They don't have as much pink or purple in them. And this is where the name of the smoke tree really does fit, because this could be mistaken for smoke. But in any case, I'm thinking also this is a much younger tree, and while it does have smoke, in comparison to the leaves, there are fewer plumes. So it's entirely possible, but I don't know for sure, that this would be our native smoke tree, which is Cotinus obovatus, or sometimes called Americanus. And it's a native only to very restricted range, Tennessee, Missouri, Oklahoma, and East Texas. So it's rare to have these trees. They're not readily available in the horticulture trade, so it's hard to come by. And the sad part is, this particular tree, our American smoke tree, if that's what this one is, and I think it might be, they're almost close to being extinct in their native area because they've been cut down or have been cut down, especially during the Civil War, to make red and orange dyes from the wood. And you might say, how did they know to get those dyes? Probably because of the extraordinary fall color. And it's said that our American smoke tree color is even more beautiful than the European one, which is Cotinus cordiglia. So I think this is possibly Cotinus americanus. Earlier today, we saw two different kinds of smoke trees. We saw the European one with an abundance of plumes, and then we saw one that actually had white plumes, which we showed you, and we said we thought most probably that it was the American species. So now we are in our backyard, 537 Bryant. And the reason we came here is because we have the good fortune to have a hybrid. We have Cotinus grace, which is a cross between the European smoke tree, Cotinus cordiglia, and the American smoke tree, Cotinus americanum. So it's very exciting because on this plant you can see blue-green leaves, and you can see red leaves, and you can see these beautiful plumes that have a lot of purple in them. But you'll also notice that there's not as many plumes in proportion to the leaves. And that is the influence of the American smoke tree, which is grown primarily for its fall foliage rather than for its decorative plumes or smoke. And next to it we have one that's just an abundance of plumes. And we paired these for the beauty and the contrast, and eventually these two will kind of grow together. This is a green form. There's not a hint of red in the leaves. It's just pure green, and it's more diminutive. But you'll notice even it has some pink cast into the plumes. Now, what's interesting is this is getting more pink as the smoke stays on the tree. Started out first just being this, really, really, really pale beigey green, and now it's getting more pinky. But this is called Young Lady, and I'm sure this must be your Cotinus cordiglia, your European one, because they tend to be smaller trees for one thing, but they also have just an astounding amount of smoke compared to the American one. So we could see the influences of the two on our big red one and purple one actually, And this one, in fact, the Grace, besides being the Cagigria, which we know is the European one, we also are pretty sure that this is called Velvet Cloak cultivar, which gives you much more of a purple tone in the coloring. So these trees are variable, and you can get all different kinds of smoke and leaf color because there's a lot of cultivars out there. But these are wonderful plants. We chose them essentially because we wanted to have a drought and low water garden, and these are excellent for that.